Good afternoon, and welcome to the National Press Club. My name is Teresa Warner, and I am the 105th president of the National Press Club. We are the world's leading professional organization for journalists, committed to our profession's future through our programming with events such as these, while fostering a free press worldwide. For more information about the National Press Club, please visit our website at www.press.org. To donate to our programs that are offered to the public through our National Press Club Journalism Institute, please visit press.org/institute. On behalf of our members worldwide, I'd like to welcome our speaker and those of you attending today's event. Our head table includes guests of our speaker, as well as working journalists who are club members. And if you hear applause in our audience, we note that members of the general public are attending, so it isn't necessarily evidence of a lack of journalistic objectivity. I'd also like to welcome our C-SPAN audience and our public radio audiences. Our luncheons are also featured on our member-produced weekly podcast from the National Press Club, available on iTunes. You can also follow the action on Twitter using hashtag NPC Lunch. After our guest speech concludes, we'll have a question and answer segment, and I will ask as many questions as time permits. Now I would like to introduce our head table guest, and I'd ask each of you to stand up briefly as your name is announced. From the right, Peggy Orszowski, Girl Scout and a congressional correspondent for Hispanic Outlook. Maureen Groppe, Girl Scout, Indianapolis Star Washington correspondent. Diane Booth, Girl Scout and Girl Scout leader, author, and freelance writer. Lisa Gable, national board member, guest of our speaker today. Kay Shaw Nelson, Girl Scout, author. Sheila Johnson, managing partner, Monumental Sports and Entertainment, owner of the Washington Mystics, and a guest of our speaker today. Angela Greiling Keene, Bloomberg News and vice president of the National Press Club, a 12-year Girl Scout and current troop co-leader. I'm going to skip our speaker for a moment. Deborah Silameo, executive vice president, Hager Sharp, and speaker committee member who organized today's event. Deborah participates in Girl Scout Camp CEO, which connects scouts with women business leaders. Lydia Soto Harmon, Chief Executive Officer, Girl Scout Council of the nation's capital. Lydia is hosting the largest gathering of Girl Scouts at the Washington Monument. Girl Scouts rock them all on June the 9th, and she is a guest of our speaker today. Valerie Jackson, Junior and Cadet Girl Scout, editor, Platts. Suzanne Struglinski, Girl Scout, Press Secretary for Legislative Affairs, Natural Resource Defense Council, and National Press Club board member. Joan Michelson, Girl Scout, executive producer and host of Green Connections Radio. And also joining us today in spirit and wax, Girl Scout founder Juliette Gordon-Lowe, who recently made her debut at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum here in Washington, D.C. When many people hear Girl Scouts, they immediately think cookies, Thin Mints, Tagalongs, and my personal favorite, Samoas, as they were a debut cookie when I was a brownie. But for our speaker, Maria Chávez, Girl Scout cookies mean goal setting, money management, and people skills, training that helps young girls think about business. When she was growing up in Elroy, Arizona, she joined the Girl Scouts and went away to camp at age 10. That was a moment of revelation for the young Latina from a not very wealthy small town. As she tells the story, it was the first opportunity she had to go away by herself without her family. She was with girls her own age from all over the state, from many different backgrounds. That camping experience gave her the sense that it was cool to be a girl, and that there was a bigger world out there than she ever thought about. That is exactly what Juliette Gordon-Lowe had in mind when she established the Girl Scouts. That was 100 years ago, before women had the right to vote, were expected to go to college, or to participate in the business world. Lowe, who was the product of a turn-of-the-century Southern upbringing, found her true calling in bringing girls of all backgrounds together to learn about self-reliance, diversity, and actively participating in civic life. In fact, the first Girl Scout handbook was called How Girls Can Help Their Country. Lo would be pleased to know that 2/3 of the female members of Congress have been Girl Scouts. And all 3 female Secretaries of State, Condoleezza Rice, Madeleine Albright, and Hillary Rodham Clinton, as well as Sandra Day O'Connor, Venus Williams, Lucille Ball, and the list goes on, including future leaders right here in our audience. Ellie Beale from Troop 1327 from Woodbridge, Virginia, Becky Townsend, and members of Troop 4006 from Oakton, Virginia. Yesterday, the President honored Lo with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And today, Maria Chávez, her journey brought her here. She had a full scholarship to Yale, then a career in public service, counseling then Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano on urban relations, Latino matters, and community services. She spent some time here in D.C. as well, in senior roles at the U.S. Department of Transportation, the Small Business Administration, and the Federal Highway Administration. She became the CEO of Girl Scouts USA a year and a half ago. And she quickly found out leading a national organization means dealing with politics. So even as Chávez leads the 100th anniversary celebration, she is dealing with political fire from some who say Scouting promotes sexuality and even abortion, and the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops says it is investigating the organization. It also means taking the organization into the digital age with virtual troops that meet online and a new badge that girls can earn for netiquette, understanding online safety and preventing cyberbullying. Chávez hopes to make her mark in a very big way. She has launched an ambitious program to close the leadership gap between men and women within one generation. We look forward to hearing all about it. Please welcome Maria Chávez.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa, for that wonderful introduction. My mother appreciates the fact you used the official bio. She does take credit. I want to thank the head table. Deborah, thank you so much for making this happen. To Lydia, who is my colleague, I am really grateful to lead a national organization, but in partnership with 112 Girl Scout councils across the country, and Lydia leads the nation's capital here and is a great partner, so thank you for being here. To our national board, represented by Lisa Gable, to Connie Lindsay, our national board president, I bring her good wishes as well. And to those of you in the audience today that are here to support us, and also Girl Scouts, who, by the way, we work for every day, and we're so proud of you. You know, I wanted to start actually my remarks talking about a girl, a very special girl, a girl that grew up in China. And a little about this girl, if you imagine your hand, okay, in her hand, however, she didn't have fingers, just a palm and a thumb. But there was a family that traveled to China to adopt her in an orphanage, and they brought her to Georgia, where they loved her and cared for her. But even the daily tasks of, of tying a shoe or picking up a toy was difficult for this young girl, who they named Danielle. And Danielle had lots of aspirations, but the parents wanted to figure out what they could do for her in her life. So as anybody does these days, right, they Googled a solution. And they found a whole community out there of people who wanted to support this young lady. But they found a group in particular, a group of leaders who wanted to investigate a process to help this little girl named Danielle. So this group, they went out and for 6 months investigated different options. They visited manufacturing plants, they went to craft stores, and after 6 months and about 180 hours of research and work, they developed a prosthetic hand made out of molding sort of, things that they could figure out how to use in a craft store and Velcro, and they put it on her hand, and it worked. And for the first time, Danielle was able to write her name. Well, these amazing individuals are called the Flying Monkeys. The Flying Monkeys, really, truly, that's what their names are. It's a Girl Scout troop from Ames, Iowa. Yes, and they're amazing, so amazing that these members went on to win a global competition beating out almost 200 other teams and claiming a $20,000 prize to patent their device they call Bob 1. Now, it's a great story, and I tell it because it not only inspires me, but it inspires other girls. Think about this. 6 intrepid middle school girls sitting there figuring out, how do we create a hand for a little girl? And so thinking about these girls, I really get sort of bullish about America's future, given the fact that we have girls out there that have incredible ingenuity, creativity, and not only that, they're thinking about other people and how they can help. So as the Chief Executive Officer for the Girl Scouts of the USA, I have the privilege and the honor of seeing these girls across the country. This story has a good ending, but unfortunately, there's another side to this, which, I will be very honest, distresses me. It distresses me because I know remarkable girls trying to do great things, but will enough of them grow up to realize their full potential? Because unfortunately, we don't see enough women in leadership positions across the country at this time. If you look at Congress, only 16% of our elected officials are women. Across corporate America, women occupy only 15% of seats on boardrooms, and just 2% hold a top job at a Fortune 500 company. Women manage only 3% of all hedge funds and 10% of mutual funds. Yet women-owned funds significantly outperform funds in general, even during tough times such as these. Women hold just 16% of the top positions at movie studios and own fewer than 6% of TV stations in the United States. And currently, women make up only 6.5% of the science advisory board members at U.S. high-tech firms. So let me give you another image. Imagine this. Imagine a classroom in an elementary school with 50 kids, evenly divided between boys and girls, and then ask every single girl to leave the room except one, and ask the group of 25 boys and 1 girl to take on and solve a challenging problem. Well, that's the situation we have here in the United States. And unfortunately, we are making progress in some areas. Yes, young women are going on to college. They're earning a degree. Nearly half of all law students are girls, are women. But as I've noted, in too many cases, we're not getting girls from aspiration to action, especially when it comes to critical fields like science, technology, engineering, and science, and math. So it's a vicious cycle. And as the saying goes, you can't buy something you can't see. And if there aren't enough successful women in technology and engineering, girls can't sit back and go, I can do that. I see myself there. So again, I work with a lot of girls. I travel the country. One of the best jobs in the world is the job I'm sitting in today. I get to talk to girls ages 5 through 17, and they tell me their dreams. But they also say, Eagle One, by the way, that's what the Girl Scouts call me, Eagle One. They say, Eagle One, help us. Because this is what the reality is for us. I go to school, and I'm really psyched about math and science. And then around 4th grade, people are like, well, girls don't do math and science. So then they opt out. Then they go on, and they go to high school, and they're thinking about student government. And then they get up, and they do things, and unfortunately, some of the remarks are, well, girls, that's being too bossy. Why are you doing that? And then they go on into their careers. And again, sometimes they don't see the female role models in the firms, the companies they want to work at. So what they say to me, the girls honestly say, Anna, help us. Help us change the messages that girls are getting in today's society. Because unfortunately, at Girl Scouts, we have a research institute that brings out some unfortunately negative data around girls. Right now, our research says that nearly 90% of girls say that the fashion industry and the media place a lot of pressure on them to be thin. And the fact is that 42% of girls in this country are growing up economically disadvantaged. And those rates are higher for Hispanic and African American girls in this country. And while 8 out of 10 girls are interested in interacting with successful women, a majority of them, 60%, say they haven't been offered a chance to visit the workplaces of successful women in their community during the last school year. Now, is it any wonder why 61% of girls say that leadership is neither important to them or say that they don't want to be leaders? So I know that you're probably taking a pause with me because, again, we've got to get beyond this data. Now, looking at girls, specifically around STEM, we found out a great statistic recently. On February 14th, on Valentine's Day, we published a report that said, girls love STEM. And it's true. If you ask most girls, the majority of them, over 74% of them will say, I love math and science. What they want is a hand up. They want somebody to say, and come by them and mentor them around these issues. And talking to girls, we want to let them know it's a career option. Because again, we can't have girls opting out because they can change the world. You know what? And it's not just about Girl Scouts. It's about all girls. You know, there's one girl in particular. Her name is Angela Zhang. Amazing girl. She, at the ripe age of 17, invented a nanoparticle. Not just any nanoparticle, mind you, but one that kills cancer cells. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, she won a $100,000 grand prize recently at a math and science competition. And then coming up right next to her is Marian Bechtel, who is also 17. And she had done some research on buried landmines around the world. So she just didn't sit back. She wanted to do something. So she went out and she created, actually, an alternative, a device that actually goes out there and identifies where these mines are buried. She won a $25,000 fellowship, and her invention's a great theme because people can produce it at a cheap cost in other countries. So the point is this, that when you inspire girls, when you give them an opportunity, when you support them, when you mentor them, they're going to get on their journey because they truly know the path. Sometimes adults, we kind of put barriers in the way. We put, stereotypes. We put negative images. But if you're truly sitting there with the girl and you start kicking those barriers out of the way, they're going to jump to where they need to get to. You know, I'm very fortunate. I had a lot of people in my life that mentored me. From a very young age in Eloy, Arizona, where apparently I was poor, didn't know it, because we were rich in love. But I remember thinking the only thing I wanted to be was a Girl Scout. And when I had the opportunity to become a member of this movement, I moved to San Antonio, Texas, dragged my husband and my son, and we moved sight unseen to work for the girls in Southwest Texas. And I remember sitting there and thinking about girls. And for a girl, it's very simple. They see our organization, it's iconic. And one day, we were doing this recruitment event, because in Girl Scouting, we still work in partnership with school districts across the country to recruit girls. And we do the brochures, we take it to the schools to announce a recruitment event. We hope it gets into the teachers' boxes. We hope the teachers take that form and put it in the girls' backpacks. And we hope that it gets home and a parent finds that form. Well, that worked one day in San Antonio, Texas. And it was a little girl. She was 8 years old. And she had the form in her backpack. And she showed up at one of her recruitment events at our elementary school one night. After everything was done, my staff and the volunteers looked, and there was one person left, and it was the 8-year-old girl. Beautiful little girl. They were like, honey, where's your parents? She said, oh, no, I came by myself. There's my bicycle. And they're like, well, honey, it's late. It's like 8:30. She's like, I know, and I've forgotten my way. Can you take me home? What we found out is this little young lady was living with her father, single parent. He was working 2 jobs because he had been laid off. And they scraped and scraped because it's only $12 to be a Girl Scout. That's all it costs, 1 year to be a Girl Scout, $12. But for them, that was a heavy lift. So they looked under sofa cushions, they looked under the refrigerator, and she found $12 in change. She brought that change in a bottle. And she put it in front of my recruiter and said, we may be poor, we may be alone today, but I want to be a Girl Scout because I know I'm going to be able to change the world. I got to tell you, she changed my life. Because I knew at that time It wasn't about just Girl Scouts. It was about girls changing their lives, but changing the world. You know, and they're ready. It's up to adults. It's up to adults to step up and say, you know what? Let me pay that $12. Let me buy you that sash. Let me give you the opportunity to integrate with amazing women and men who want to support your journey. Come on now, go ask the flying monkeys. Go ask Angela or Marion. You know, for us, we sit here in the nation's capital, where innovation and creativity and governance happens. Can you imagine if we doubled the number of girls in that pipeline of leadership here in the nation's capital? Because right now, look at our roster of Girl Scout alumni. Teresa read the list, and it goes on and on. And imagine if right now we only serve 8% of girls in this country. Imagine if we doubled that percentage. You know, in our study recently, we found that if you compared Girl Scout alumni to non-alumni, they outperformed in almost every single measure. They were making more money per year. They had a higher educational attainment than non-alum. They were happier. And they were contributing to their community. They were volunteering, and they were voting often. And what we also discovered is that currently we have 59 million living alumni in this country. Approximately 1 in 2 women has spent time in our organization during her lifetime. And what I love about it is that it is going to give us the opportunity to connect with that alumni, to bring them back in to mentor other girls. Because our system is simple. It's worked for 100 years. It's called Discover, Connect, and Take Action. Allow a girl to discover the issues around her in her local community or on the globe. Connect her to other people who are interested in that project, and then allow her, with her imagination, to take action to make a difference. So it works, 100 years. Juliet Gordon-Low would tell you, if she stood here today, that it works. Because again, we're not only in every zip code in this country, but we're in 92 countries in the world making a difference, not only for girls, but again, for their communities. But I need your help, because we can't do it alone. So we're going to create an opportunity for you, and it's called To Get Her There. It is the largest, boldest advocacy campaign for girls' leadership in the nation's history. What we're trying to do, with your help, is to create balanced leadership in this country in one generation, so that every single girl has the opportunity to step into that leadership role. Because we're going to need her smart ideas. We're going to need her to sit next to boys in the classroom and contribute. And, you know, it's not about boys against girls or men against women. I'm a mother of a 10-year-old beautiful boy. But what it's about is this great country. And it's about this Girl Scout movement that needs to continue, because we need to help more girls. Now, the issue for us is scale. We can't do it by ourselves. It's going to take every nonprofit that serves youth. It's going to take every government leader, every business leader, every faith leader, every parent, every entrepreneur to invest in girls. Because unfortunately today, only 7% of the philanthropic dollars go to girl causes in this country. It's not enough. We've got to invest in girls, because I am convinced that somewhere out there across this beautiful country, there's a girl sitting there with a cure for Alzheimer's. There's a girl figuring out, how do I make other lives better, like Danielle? But the question is, will we get her there? Will we? Do we have enough passion around these issues? Will we dedicate the time to sponsor a girl, to mentor her? And will we be strong enough in our moral fiber to stand up and say, today, not on my watch, will you make a girl feel less than? And yes, when people start casting aspersions against an iconic organization, will you stand up and say, that is not true? You know, I'm going to end just with a simple story. The fact of the matter is, I stand before you as a product of this great organization. But for Girl Scouts, I probably perhaps would have been on a different path. I was on all the indicator lists, right? I was Latina. I was in an agricultural rural community. My parents hadn't gone to college. But you know what? Somebody, an adult in a rural community, reached out her hand and said, "You matter. Today on my watch, you matter." And along the way, my path was filled with adults that understood the potential of a girl. What I ask you today in the country watching is that you invest in one girl. It could be your neighbor, it could be your daughter, it could be your niece. It could be a daughter of somebody in foster care or in child protective services. Just take the time, because there's a girl sitting in Memphis, Tennessee, Ames, Iowa, or Birmingham, Alabama, who needs us. And I'm convinced that when a girl succeeds, the country succeeds. Thank you.
You talked about reaching out to just one girl. If you could speak to younger girls and convince them to stay in the Girl Scouts, what would you say? And what does being a Girl Scout mean to you?
Wow. There's a lot I'd love to share with girls. And again, I have this great opportunity. What I would tell them, honestly, is to be a girl. You know, I had the great opportunity to work for 2 great governors in Arizona. One of them gave me the opportunity to work in the child protective services, and so where girls, unfortunately, had issues that had impacted their lives. And I met this young lady who was 15 years old, and she had lost her youth. And I said to her, if you could talk to other girls, what would it be? And what she said was, tell girls to be girls. Stop being such a hurry to be an adult. Enjoy life, you know? Go out, create friends, create positive environments. Don't let the social pressures bring you down, because you're gonna have a mortgage one day. Don't worry about that. You know? That's okay. You know, just be a girl and enjoy life, because that's what's really gonna make you happy.
What do you think are the 2 or 3 biggest barriers to girls becoming Girl Scouts? Is it different in urban versus rural areas?
You know, surprisingly, what a lot of people don't realize, the barrier is financial. And even though I'll put this out there, you know, it's only $12 a year to be a Girl Scout. You know, that's 2 lattes. But where I came from, in San Antonio, Texas, we had about 20,000 Girl Scouts. Half of them were on scholarship. That meant that I fundraised every year to pay for half of their, you know, the girls in Girl Scouts. So if, again, that can be a barrier, but adults can, you know, obviously step in to help them. I think between rural and urban, I think it's just a different experience. You know, I grew up in a rural community with 1 Girl Scout troop, so we were very tight. You know, we did everything together. In an urban community, they may have more opportunities to do, you know, field trips around different things. But what I think what's great about Girl Scouts, it's like a leveling field. Once you enter, whether, again, you're in San Antonio, Texas, or Eloy, Arizona, or here in the nation's capital, you're entering a national movement. So your experience will be the same, because it's the same Girl Scout leadership experience with 15 outcomes.
Can people contribute directly to pay a girl's $12 dues, and how do they do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can start today. You know, our website's girlscouts.org. You can also go to our cause campaign site called togetherthere.org. You can contribute. There's a button. We would love for you to invest in the future of this country, but not only that, invest in the promise of a girl. They're going to do great things.
The Girl Scout Gold Award is comparable to the Eagle Scout rank, yet no one knows what it is. Will that ever change?
Absolutely. A little history. So in 2016, actually, actually the Gold Award will turn 100 years old. But what I think the issue is a branding issue. We've changed the name of the Gold Award. The Gold Award is the highest award a girl can achieve and earn in Girl Scouting. And so it used to be called, you know, the Golden Eaglet, First Class Scout. And so over the decades, there are women out there that earned the highest award, but it was named a different thing. So you're going to see in the next few months a ramp up around a campaign around the Gold Award, because we are going to show the country all the amazing women who've earned the highest award in Girl Scout, and we're going to honor them and show them. Again, what I would love to see, right, as with the Eagle Scout Award, that girls walk in with their resume and it says Gold Award recipient, and they're hired on the spot. You know, wouldn't that be great? You know, but it's an educational process, so we can tell people again that if a girl receives this award, she's only represents 5% of girls in all of Girl Scouting. So it is the pinnacle of their Girl Scout career, and we should support them.
How do you think participating in Girl Scouts will help women achieve leadership positions in all sectors and levels of society?
For girls in Girl Scouting, it's an opportunity to learn different things, whether it's about educational issues, whether it's about some of the societal issues in their community around homelessness issues, domestic violence, and through, again, community service. They're constantly giving back. They're constantly raising funds through their cookie program to fund other nonprofits, actually, to solve community issues. So I think, again, with Girl Scouts and being involved, it can really expand sort of their horizons and, again, help other people.
Speaking of the cookie program, how does that fit into today's modern Girl Scouts?
Well, you've got to meet some of our amazing cookie sellers. You know, they're hardcore. They go out there and they've got a goal. But what I love about the cookie program, first of all, a lot of people don't know, it is the largest entrepreneurial program for girls in the country. I meet women in the highest positions of corporate life, of government, and the first thing they'll tell me is, I learned my business skills, making the pitch, selling my Girl Scout cookies, setting goals, tracking inventory. Oh, and by the way, I volunteered my mom, you know, to be the cookie mom. So then I dragged her into Girl Scouts, and then my dad had to help, and so all of a sudden all the family was involved. But what the cookie program does, essentially for girls, is it allows them to set a goal as early as 5 years old. Our littlest leaders are called daisies. They're 5. And they're out there, and what they do is they sell the cookies, and they get a percentage of the revenue. They get to decide what they're going to do with that. A lot of them travel internationally to visit with other girls. Again, a lot of them have fund either their bronze, silver, or gold award project, again, to help other people. And then ultimately, it gives them the self-confidence. I mean, how many of you have done a cold call in business? How hard is it to knock on a door, you know? But what the girls have also told us is that, come on, Eagle One, bring it up. You know, we want a technology side to the cookie business. And so, because they're online, right? They have a technology background. So they want us to integrate our traditional cookie program, which is iconic, with the future of business. And the future of business has an e-commerce platform. And so just a preview, you may see something in the future around some of these technology advances that girls are going to help design around their cookie program.
What percentage of Girl Scout cookie sales does a Girl Scout troop retain after deducting expenses?
Yeah. Again, it depends on the sort of where you live. Little trivia question here. Actually, there are 2 companies that make Girl Scout cookies in this country. So depending on where you live, you may buy from a particular company. Thin Mints are iconic. They're sold by both companies. In some states, Samoa is called a Samoa. In some states, it's called a Caramel Delight. But long story short, again, the money, so it could be $3.50 per box. 80 cents goes directly to the cookie baker, right, to pay for the product. And then a girl gets a percentage, and then the other piece goes to either the troop or it goes, again, to the local council to fund their camps, their programming during the year, after school, and it really provides a support network. What's most important, and what I want to say to you today is thank you. Thank you for supporting the girls in the cookie program, because it's funding their leadership development program. And all the money that they raise stays local. It does not come to headquarters. It is actually invested back into your local communities. So thank you for supporting them.
I was a top cookie seller with a mother that was a cookie mom and dad that hauled them around, so my family appreciates that. On the other hand, with the level of childhood obesity, does the Girl Scouts have any concern that the best identified Girl Scout program is cookies?
Well, what I always say is everything in moderation. Yes. But I have to admit, our cookies, because they're only sold once a year, people get very excited. So, I also like to tell the story, and I'll get to your piece about healthy living, very important. But again, the cookie program, the first Girl Scout troop started making Girl Scout cookies in 1917 in Oklahoma, and that's how it started. And over the years, actually, a lot of the cookie revenue is donated to the troops, meaning, so a person can walk up to a cookie booth site and say, I'm not going to buy cookies today, but I will donate those cookies back, and our girls will ship these cookies overseas. And so one of the amazing pieces that I get in the mail are letters and emails from men and women serving overseas who are hunkered down in a bunker in the middle of battle, and then the mail comes after 2 months of waiting. And what they get is a care package. And in that care package are Girl Scout cookies. And all of a sudden, they are transported back to being 12, sitting in their grandma's kitchen, eating Girl Scout cookies and milk. And for them, it's just a respite. It's a peace and a time where they are connected back to this great country to say, we're there to support you. So our girls, again, they're doing that. They're supporting military families. And then we think about healthy living. And all our girls know it's all about moderation. Because, again, we're about the holistic, view of girls. We want them to ensure that, again, they're living, they're physically active. We're very involved in creating programming around exercise, and so that is a critical part of our work with girls.
One Girl Scout here today said that what she has enjoyed most about being a Girl Scout is the many opportunities and experiences that she has gained from that, and is wondering if Girl Scouts from around the world are getting those same opportunities.
Yes, we are very honored, actually, to have Girl Scouts in 92 countries. Because, again, the girls are living with their families, and their family may be in the military, serving overseas, stationed overseas, or they may be living abroad working for an American company. So the girls are, Girl Scouts. They're part of our Girl Scout family. And they're learning out of the same journey books. They're working on the same badges. But we're doing, out of our national headquarters office, and ensuring that we're able to connect the girls living here domestically in the United States with their Girl Scout counterparts. And we recently were in Houston for our national convention last fall, and we saw Girl Scouts from all over the world coming together. And it's a great sight because, again, they're Girl Scouts. They're part of the same family, and they're having fun together.
What is the organization doing to recruit leaders who are actually willing to go camping, even if it rains, hails, or snows?
Well, a lot of people ask me, Anna, come on, Eagle One, I want to help, but, I'm not a camper. And so I get that. But here's the thing. We have tons of volunteer opportunities. Just talk to a girl. Talk to the table of girls here today. I bet if you ask them, every single one of them has a different area of expertise. One of them may be a musician. One of them may be a budding scientist. One may be into drama. So we need adults to volunteer to support those paths. Right? So if you're not a camper, we can, based on your expertise, maybe if you're a judge, and I recently recruited a judge, actually in Southwest Texas, who said, come on now, Anna, how can I be a Girl Scout? And I said, sir, this is how you're going to help me. First of all, you have the juvenile justice bench, don't you, Judge? Yes, I do. And he goes, but how can I help? I said, well, if you volunteer with me and you sign up more Girl Scouts, we're going to divert girls from your bench. Did you ever have a Girl Scout before your juvenile justice bench? He's like, no, you're right, Eagle One. I've never had a Girl Scout in front of my juvenile justice bench. And so, you know what he did? How he volunteered? He said, okay, here. He wrote a check to become a member that day. We pinned him. And since then, he has sponsored a series, a legal series, where he's working with local lawyers in his rural community And they are literally teaching girls about the law, the professions in the law, from sort of being a prosecutor to a defense attorney to being a judge, really showing them that process. So again, if you're over the age of 18, male or female, and you want to volunteer to support these girls, we will find a way, even if you're not a camper.
As children become increasingly more connected through devices like tablets and smartphones, and their attention span decreases accordingly, how does an organization like the Girl Scouts adjust to not only keep pace, but to attract new members and interest girls on those interactive team and personality building activities that make Scouting the valuable developmental tool that it is?
Long question. Well, again, speaking from a mother's perspective, a 10-year-old who has every device manageable, I understand that connection, but I also realized, interestingly enough, that I think this is the first generation to spend most of their time growing up inside, right? When I was a Girl Scout in Eloy, my mother she was said, okay, go play, and we would go off, and we'd be playing in the cotton fields, and we'd be running around. And so it is this balance, right, of making sure they're technologically savvy, that they're interested in all those things that come online and through computers so they can, again, compete in school and in their careers, but also understanding is about the environment. I think, again, one of the benefits of being a Girl Scout is it is about the environment for us. You know, for us, green was cool, way before it was cool for the rest of the country. You know, we own green. That's Juliet. We own green. You know, and so girls have always, in their Girl Scout experiences, been connected back to the environment. They're out there. We're taking them camping, horseback riding. We have camps where they can go and sort of understand, you know, about Earth and sort of where that stands and other stars and galaxies. And so we're constantly bringing them out into the nature, but connecting it back to science and math and technology so that, again, in context of their lives, Girl Scouting makes sense for them.
With your new project to get her there, how do you plan on not only getting younger girls inspired to work towards their futures, but making sure they stay on the right path to get there as they get older?
For us, it's very, very clear. And I will tell you, a lot of people are like, well, Anna, you know, that's an audacious goal, you know, changing the leadership landscape of this country in one generation of girls. But I said, you know, it's time. How can we wait for another generation to pass by without getting those opportunities? You know, when my mother was growing up, her opportunities were limited compared to mine, but she did everything in her power to kick down those doors and those barriers. So I think it's our obligation as adults, again, to engage more girls and to make other people aware. So I'm hoping that all of you here, that now that you know about To Get Her There, you're going to go and educate your colleagues at work. You're going to sit them down and say, have you heard about this campaign? It's powered by Girl Scouts, but actually everybody's involved. And did you know that, you know, we need to invest more in girls? And did you know girls need mentors around science, math, and technology? So again, our goal is just to engage adults, one, becoming aware, right? Advocating on behalf of girls, saying this is what girls need, and then donating to the cause. Again, to a Girl Scout organization or to an organization that empowers girls. Because as I said again, it's not just about Girl Scouts. It's about every single community organization coming together to support their leadership path.
The Girl Scouts have a long history of being inclusive to gays, lesbians, and people who don't believe in God. The Boy Scouts, of course, are a very different organization in both those respects. How has that inclusiveness shaped what the Girl Scout organization is today?
You know, our organization, the Girl Scouts, is a very inclusive organization, has always been. You know, I was very fortunate. I recently was able to go to Savannah, Georgia. March 12th, 2012, we turned 100 years old as a movement. And so I was there, actually in Juliet Gordon Lowe's house. And I was sitting there reflecting, as I was reading her diaries, you know, very personal diaries around the challenges of creating an organization around girls. Imagine, this was before women had the right to vote. She created scandal throughout Savannah because she had the girls marching through the streets and bloomers because they were going to play basketball in her backyard. Okay, so for her, it was, again, how do we engage all girls? And during my visit there, I actually got to meet with the leaders and the rabbi at the local synagogue, Mikvah Israel. And they showed me in their historical archives presents and letters from Juliet Gordon Lowe, thanking them for the support of the synagogue, because some of the girls from that synagogue actually were some of the members of the first troops of Girl Scouts. And so, again, you look across the country from the very beginnings of Girl Scouting, our troops were diverse. All girls of all faiths, of all racial backgrounds, of all geographic locations. And so I believe that is our true strength. Because, again, we are creating an opportunity for girls to know that we all matter.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops recently filed an official inquiry to investigate concerns that the Girl Scouts have problematic relationships with groups like Planned Parenthood. What is the Girl Scouts' relationship with Planned Parenthood?
Well, thank you for this opportunity, actually, to set the record straight. I think, with social media and opportunities just to post things, there are certain myths and misconceptions about our organization. Again, I think because we're an inclusive organization, we stand in a place where, again, we serve a broad demographic of girls in this country. Imagine, we have girls in every zip code in this country, from all backgrounds, all faiths. And so, we're looking forward, we're working with the Conference of Bishops to answer some questions they have that they've received from some of their members. And so we look forward to, answering some of those questions, obviously bringing the facts. But we've been very clear, again, we do not take positions on some of these issues that we're being alleged to take positions on, because those issues are clearly within the family decision-making. Again, we are a leadership development program. That's what we've been founded to do. That's our mission, to create girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. And so we're looking forward to working with the Conference of Bishops to clarify any questions they may have. And again, at the end of the day, to clarify any myths and misconceptions about our organization to set the record straight.
So do the Girl Scouts have a relationship with Planned Parenthood?
As we've said before, Girl Scouts of the USA does not have a relationship. We, again, are focused on what's important to girls, and that's what we've been doing for almost over 100 years.
There are many media representatives here today. What role should the media play in promoting empowerment for girls and women, and what is your view of how girls and women are portrayed in the media today? Well,
we have a lot of studies that have come out through our research institute that talk about the issues impacting girls. We've actually hosted media panels throughout the country. And I was stunned recently to talk to some ladies, actually, in the media, who are Girl Scouts. And they came up to me and said, Anna, we want to help some way, somehow, to show the girls that it's okay to be themselves. And you don't have to do computer generation to change the way you look. And so one particular female newscaster actually did something live on television with no makeup. And it created havoc. Can you imagine? But it was her way of telling the girls, it's okay. We don't need all of this to be the professional person standing up, telling what we need to do. This is our job. And so, again, we've had some amazing media partners, and I want to specifically thank all of our media partners here today and the media partners across the country who've been working with us, actually, during our 100th anniversary to spread the good message of Girl Scouting. And they have. We have gotten over 70 million media impressions in the last 6 months. And it's because, again, our media partners understand at the end of the day, we're one community. And they can help. They have a powerful voice. They get to the girls through TV, through magazines, through radio, and they can help us spread some really great messages and encourage the girls to stay on their path.
The Boy Scouts have been talking publicly about struggling with membership numbers. How is the Girl Scout enrollment doing, and what are you doing to keep it up and boost it?
Well, I'm very pleased to say that the first time in 10 years, we are actually up in membership. We're very proud of that. Thank you. I think, and I've spoken actually to other CEOs of major national nonprofits that work with youth, and I think we've all been struggling because of the economy. When a family sits back and says, wow, we've just got to make rent, or, a parent loses a job, and so they come back to the basics. What do we really need? And so a lot of us did lose that membership. And I will tell you, part of it, too, is, Girl Scouts. We are, I think, the best kept secret in the United States. Right? If you talk to any woman, for the most part, they were touched by our organization. They had a positive opportunity. But we don't tell our story. And part of that is, again, telling the story so more girls will join. They can't buy something they can't see. And so, again, that's why we're out there. And you will see, and I think you've probably seen in the last 6 months, more stories about Girl Scouts than ever, talking about the great work they're doing, changing lives. And so for us, it's about going external, sharing that external story so that people will invest in girls, people will advocate for them, and people will sponsor girls.
How realistic is it to expect that you can achieve gender equality in leadership in just one generation when it has taken centuries for women to get where they are today?
Well, I think it's an economic imperative. It is. You know, I used to work for the SBA, great organization, and I learned there that 1 in 4 people are employed by a small business. And so, you know, I always think about economy and sort of really where the jobs are being generated. And they're going to need employees. They're going to need skilled, trained employees. And so from my business perspective, you've got to invest in girls to get them on that path. And so if we sit back and say, well, let's do 2 generations of girls, or maybe 3, we're going to pass a whole opportunity that these girls are going to give back to their communities and to this country. And so it makes sense for business to step up and help and say, absolutely, we want to support girls. It makes sense for government to invest in programming around leadership development for girls. And I also think that, again, with 59 million living alumni of Girl Scouts, by spreading the message, they're going to come back and they're going to say, how can I help? I can't camp, but, you know, I'm a business owner, you know, or I can camp and I'm going to take the girls rappelling. You know, so I think everybody's going to get involved.
How do the Girl Scouts work to build girls up on their own terms in their own rights rather than simply get them to the same benchmarks as their male counterparts?
No, I think you're right, and it's always a discussion, you know, again, that men, you know, are in these roles. You know, we recently looked across the top 10 job sectors across the country, to the military, to nonprofit, to academia, and we found that only 17% of those leadership positions were held by women. So why is that? I think it completely goes back to, and this is just my personal opinion, being the leader of the national organization, that, again, it's about what you see in front of you. You know, for my mother, she was so wise because she wouldn't tell me what to do. She would kind of just lay out the issue. And she'd kind of like walk me through, well, Ana Maria, what are you going to do about that? Well, Ana Maria, how can you make a difference? And in my own mind, even as a 10-year-old, I figured out how to get there. I think girls need the same opportunity. They need sort of adults to stand up and say, well, so you found out that there's no recycling program in your school, so what are you going to do about that? Let the girls dream about that. So I think as we engage more girls in this opportunity, as we engage more adults in the opportunity, I think we'll start seeing it. But again, sort of the balance of leadership was created over many decades. So we can't do it today, can't do it tomorrow. But in 1 year, we can create awareness around these issues, and we can get on our way to make a difference for girls.
To Get Her There appears to address getting younger girls involved in scouting. Does it expand to include graduating girls in an attempt to help get her a job or connections?
Sure. Well, we serve girls all the way to the age of 17, actually. So a lot of girls think they can't join because they're in high school. Actually, the girls I've spoken to love being in Girl Scouts even as they grow older because they then see the connection between what they want to do as an adult. And so for girls working toward their silver and then, of course, their gold award, they're being involved in issues impacting their community, and they figure out, oh, wow, okay, so maybe that's what I want to go to school to study. You know, maybe I want to be a lawyer or I want to be an engineer. And then they get into the career field, and then they figure out, wow, there's a lot of Girl Scout alum working in this company. Maybe I can sit down with them and they'll help me. So I think the older girls are very sophisticated around issues impacting them and what they want to work on. And what I've learned, Teresa, honestly, is I ask them questions. You know, as a national CEO, I sit down with a lot of them. And when I was a local CEO in San Antonio, I had a teen kitchen cabinet of girls. And I literally, I mean, the adults would sort of say, Anna, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, because that's the way we've always done it. And I thank you very much. I agree with that. And then I'd go sit down with the girls. And I'd say, okay, girls, you know, there were 10 of them, all teenagers. And they'd say, okay, what do you want to know, Anna? And I said, well, girls, you know, how are we recruiting? You know, is that working for you? And they noticed the door was shut and we were alone. And they're like, okay, wait. Eagle One, it's not working. First of all, if you think you're going to go into high school, put out a little table with a little green, little thing on it, with a box of cookies, that's not going to work for me. Tell me how this is going to help me. Tell me how I can give back to my community. And so sitting with them, literally, we created a program called Gamma Sigma Girls. Because I was told that older girls would not join Girl Scouting. Just told that. Girls are not interested in becoming a Girl Scout when they get older. I don't know. I'm telling a whole group of Girl Scouts that they like being a Girl Scout. So we did, and we thought we'd get one high school in San Antonio. And so we sent out a message, 25 girls at one high school. Literally, almost overnight, we got every single high school in San Antonio Independent School District to become Girl Scouts. So 10 schools, 25 girls in each school became Girl Scouts. We actually blew the cap in one school, had to let extra girls in. And you know what happened? It was amazing. They started getting involved. And what turned out is that then they ran for student government. And I met a girl recently, actually through that experience, a Gamma Sigma girl, Girl Scout in San Antonio, and she told me that Girl Scouts had changed her life. Because again, a lot of people told her, she got older, well, you shouldn't be involved in this, or Girl Scouts not that. She joined, and all of a sudden she had Girl Scout friends and sisters. And they started doing community service projects, and they started joining student government. What I found out was this young girl named Irene had been homeless all her life. She'd been in like 10 schools. And she immediately was grounded in Girl Scouting and with her sisters in Girl Scouting. She went on, actually, to speak nationally on the issues impacting teens and homelessness. And she's now gone on to college in a full ride. And she speaks eloquently about how, just in 1 year, as a junior in high school, Girl Scouting completely changed her opportunities. So it is never too late, girls. It is never too late, parents, to join Girl Scouts.
When do you think we will see a female president, and will she be a Girl Scout?
Well, Teresa, the odds are she's going to be a Girl Scout. The odds are there. I mean, even if you look at the current cabinet, President Obama, again, Hillary Clinton's Secretary of State, a Girl Scout. Catherine Sebelius, a Girl Scout. The Supreme Court. So they are in these leadership positions already. For us, as a community, of course, we would love an opportunity for a woman to serve. She will serve as a leader. She will serve as somebody who wants to make a difference. The fact she's a woman is added bonus, But again, a lot of people say, well, how can you do that? And we are making our way. We're in schools, we're making the grades, we're doing the internships, we're taking the hard jobs, we're taking the hard assignments, we're making the sacrifices. So give them a chance to fill that critical need in this world and in the White House.
Before I get to the last questions here, I have a couple of announcements to make. First of all, I'd like to remind all of you about our upcoming luncheon speakers. On June the 4th, we have the Gerald R. Ford Journalism Awards with guest speaker Chris Matthews, host of MSNBC's Hardball with Chris Matthews. On June the 9th, which I believe is an important day for the Girl Scouts, before you head down to the mall, we have our 15th annual Beat the Deadline 5K race that benefits the National Press Club, Journalism Institute, and Tony Horton, founder of P90X, will be here, so you can come and run a 5K, eat pancakes, and head to the mall. Second, I'd like to present our guest with our traditional NPC coffee mug. And a couple of last questions here. Have you learned the flash mob dance for the Rock the Mall?
I'm a little stressed about that. But I've been told, I have a beat, so I'm going to pick it up, Lydia's a little scared. I may be able to break out on stage, but I'm ready for the challenge.
Do you want to try any of it?
I hear you're a good dancer.
What is your favorite cookie?
Oh, man. Wow, you saved the toughest question to the end. All right, well, I will tell you what my answer used to be. But after I gave the answer, okay, come on, it was a little political. I said, well, as the national CEO, I love all cookies. And that day, my husband, Rob, happened to be listening to the radio interview. And I get home, and he says, Anna, Stop it. You got a cookie, say the cookie. So, yes, in front of everybody, my favorite cookie is the Samoa. I embrace it. I embrace it. But here's the thing. Girls get to choose their favorite cookie. And we actually have an iPhone app that will tell you that based on your cookie, we can tell a little bit about your personality.
How about a round of applause for our speaker today? Thank you for coming. Thank you to the National Press Club staff, including its Journalism Institute and Broadcast Center, for organizing today's event. And as a final reminder, you can find out more information about the National Press Club at www.press.org. Thank you all. We are adjourned.